Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right. For just $20, we'd say something nice about you here. We'd compliment your shoes. We'd do that. That's pretty much it. Just go to nerdandtie.com and click on the sponsor information. Or if you'd like to support our legal fund, go to gofundme.com/nerdandtie. And I totally forgot to put up the title card, but we'll all live through that.
On this fortnight's edition of Nerd and Tie, we celebrate 2017's demise by looking at the best and worst of the year, including film, TV, things from Japan, and video games. All that this fortnight, along with your mailbag on Nerd and Tie.
Woohoo! I forgot to put up the title card, so they got to watch us read things.
That's fine.
Oh boy.
Deal with it, people who had to look at our faces.
It's exciting. This is one full year of Gen.
It's true.
This is. We should Nick introduce us before I start talking.
Yeah. Celebrating their first full year as a member of Nerd and Tie, we have the unstoppable Gen.
Hit me.
It you. Pointing out Gen's year tenure here on Nerd and Tie is the unspeakable Trey Dorn.
I'm very good at stepping on other people's lines. And my hat's sparkly.
And looking pale as a new bottle of skim milk, it's me, Nick Izumi.
So yeah, this is the first time that Gen's been on a year in review show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you started right after our year in review show last year. And
Okay.
it is true we're releasing our year in review, our 2017 review, like 3 days into 2018, but that's because I don't know if you could tell, I didn't have a voice for a few days, and was physically incapable of recording anything, and like I'm still not 100%.
Also, and we can make a better year in review show because now nothing cool happened at the end of the year that we might have missed.
Or tragic.
Mm-hmm. Gotta take whatever wins we can get. I'm gonna take them. Oh gosh.
Now, if we find out someone else died or is a rapist, it's this year's fault instead.
Oh boy. So but right now we're gonna celebrate the goods and the bads of Nerd and Tie with our year in review show with with our traditional The Windsor for what we think is the best of our categories and the clip-on for whatever was the worst.
I forgot we actually... Those are the actual things that we came up with.
Those are the actual things we came up with.
Why? I'm the only one here wearing a tie, I want to point out.
In
I'm on
brightest
theme.
tie and blackest tie. Making it my lantern powers.
Oh dear, this is all we're so professional.
I know. Let's move on. We should really get into what were the best and worst things of the year, and the best place to start with that is, of course, movies.
Yay!
2017
Movies.
was quite the year for movies. I'm going to be honest with the audience. I didn't see everything I wanted to see because being a new homeowner meant I didn't have a lot of movie money. Oops.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm moved.
Mm-hmm.
I saw significantly fewer films this year than normal, but I did see all the big ones.
I didn't even see all the big ones. I
true.
still haven't seen, as of right now, I still haven't seen Thor. And
Wow, that's like
I
a
know.
contender for best movie for this year.
I know. I'm really upset with myself. And
This is
one of
not a
the
contender, but have you seen Justice League yet?
No, I have not seen Justice League. I also have not seen Shape of Water or The Disaster Artist.
Me too.
I haven't seen those two yet. But again,
Ah.
I've seen significantly fewer films this year than normal. But Last Jedi was pretty amazing. Thor 3, Ragnarok was pretty great. Uh,
Oh
I've
yeah.
heard great things about Thor. I really loved Last Jedi.
I really like Guardians 2.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I cried in that movie. It's
Marvel's sequel game was really strong this year. Guardians of
Spider-Man
the Galaxy was unexpectedly somber in the best way possible.
Spider-Man was solid. Um
Spider-Man was fun. I enjoyed it.
Spider-Man wasn't the best movie I saw this year by far, but it brought fun back to the Spider-Man franchise, and pretty much is the first movie to I'm always a bigger fan in comics of adult Spider-Man, but it's the first
Right.
high school Spider-Man movie I actually liked.
Well, there's a thing.
So, uh, and then, but I think, and this is my contender for best film this year, is I have to say Wonder Woman.
That's a strong pick. I actually just rewatched that last weekend, and yeah, Wonder Woman was very good.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it was as good as Wonder Woman, but since we did bring up the atrocity, or at least by reputation, the atrocity at worst and disappointment from at least that was Justice League. I think it's worth noting DC did put two good movies in theaters this year because they did Wonder Woman, which was amazing, but they also did Lego Batman,
That's true.
which
Lego
was
that
also
was this
very
year?
good. Yeah, that was the best Batman movie I've seen since probably Dark Knight. Going to be honest.
I like Batman Begins more than Dark Knight.
I agree, but I'm just saying in terms of Batman movie quality,
That came out in
I
2017. Wow, I totally forgot
yeah,
that was because it was February.
That
uh-huh.
It's like,
felt like more than a year ago.
yeah, no, it's ooh,
Wow.
Lego
That was a
Batman.
long ass year.
I'm gonna stick with my Wonder Woman pick, but that's a solid contender
I
for
I'm just impressed that DC released two good movies this year, albeit not in the same shared universe.
yeah, I want to say like
Uh,
Justice League had I have so many issues with Justice League. I could restructure half that film. It's not awful, like it's still the second best DCEU movie,
which isn't saying much though. I
but
mean,
like no, here's the thing is you watch Justice League and I'll put Justice League is slightly better than Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a terrible
right,
Superman movie, but I enjoyed it as a movie. Like as a let's watch stuff blow up movie. I just hated it as a Superman movie. Right?
that's fair.
Uh
I
Justice League I like a little bit more than that, but because there are some great moments in it, there's just a lot of there it has structural problems. Not like Suicide Squad structural problems. Uh or Batman versus Superman structural problems, but there's a um honestly, just the movie did not need Superman.
I will say this much. The my three favorite movies that I saw theatrically this year were all movies that made me tear up for one reason or another. So, Guardians of the Galaxy, it was a good chunk of it, but definitely the ending because I think it takes a really whoever's idea it was to make a movie about people coping with um parental abuse during their childhood, and having that be the main theme of Guardians of the Galaxy, kudos, because that was amazing.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, I cried because the trench scene is absolutely inspiring and iconic, and it is going to, if nothing else is remembered from the DCEU, that scene will be because it is every bit as iconic as Superman flying with Lois Lane for the first time in 1977. Every
Yeah.
bit, maybe more so. And then Last Jedi, I cried a lot, a lot, a lot. There's
Oh
too many
god, yeah.
scenes in that movie I cried at.
Yeah, so Last Jedi and Wonder Woman are kind of what I keep going back to. The problem is that I don't know how much I'm going to like Last Jedi like until I see episode 9. Like, I liked Last Jedi. It's there. Like I have some issues with it. A couple of things I have a couple of minor. The problem is they're all minor issues. Like they're like I feel like this could have been done better or this linked in better or things like that. But overall, I can see what Ryan Johnson was going for, and I appreciate it. Like,
Yeah.
See, and that's kind of where I'm at with Wonder Woman, except I don't have a contingent of letting the next movie be my judge of things, that I really like
yeah.
most of it, but I'm not in love with the third act. I'm definitely not in love with David Thewlis as
See,
Ares,
that didn't bother me.
and
That didn't bother me.
as a fan of the again, it drew very heavily from the George Perez run, and as a fan of the George Perez run, I was really disappointed by that. And I'm really, really, really not a fan, and I'm going to continue to not be a fan. I don't care what anyone says. I'm really not a fan of how much that movie wants you to like Zeus.
Yeah.
It bothers me to no end that there is a Wonder Woman movie that was 99% good, but they don't mention a single Greek goddess, not a one, not any of the entire Greek pantheon is mentioned other than Zeus and Ares, and that's really bothersome in a Wonder Woman movie. In a Wonder Woman movie,
Yeah, I can agree with that. I didn't like the inclusion of Zeus.
that's
I think that has to do with the New 52
I know it has to do with the New 52 origin,
because the
but I
movie
hate
was
the New
written
52 origin.
pre-Rebirth and
Uh,
so they were doing what DC Creative let them do. Um I don't really like I didn't like that, but that to me is also I don't have as much of a problem with the third act as you do. I don't really I actually like David Thewlis as Ares, but I think that it didn't need to be a big CGI slugfest, but I was okay with it being that. The only thing I really didn't like was the stupid framing story. Like that scene at the end of the movie where
uh-huh.
we go back to present day. I'm like, wow, that would have worked really well as like an after credit scene. Right?
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
understand
also,
starting out with the scene because, apparently we have to assume audiences are too stupid to figure out that this movie takes place before the last time we saw the character. But I'm okay with that intro, but like the end was like bookended, and then you could do like an after credit scene if you really want to go back to the bookend.
also there's some weird. I could kind of tell that there was some last minute rewrite stuff in that book ending, and by that I mean like you have Diana saying in the opening parts, I used to I used to believe there was good and evil in the world, and then her ending is, guess there's good. Bye. Like,
I remembered because
um,
Batman sent me a thing.
it's like, oh, because Batman sent you a picture.
I totes
Cool.
forgot about Steve Trevor until right now because Batman sent me his picture. That's what that scene implies. That's
Batman's just a great guy that way. He just
What would we do
Batman.
without him?
you
We'd forget
you
everybody.
Hey Diana, remember that guy you liked once? I'm Batman.
you know, to be fair, that's probably the biggest contribution that Batman has practically to any Justice League. Because I'm sorry, that is a guy with skills that everyone else on the league have, but better
He pays for
because
the
they have
base.
powers.
He pays for the base.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean like literally. That's
No, I know.
yeah.
It's
Someone's got to pay the power bill for the Justice League, so of course they're gonna let Batman in.
yeah, I get it.
Clark's
Anyway,
a
no,
reporter, man. He doesn't make crap.
I am willing to give Wonder Woman our best movie of the year though, because I think it was a strong title.
Yeah, so my vote's for Wonder Woman also. Again, what's your vote for best movie of the year?
Well, going with what I've seen, my personal favorite was Thor. Um, I cannot wait for that to come out on DVD so I can own it, and I just loved every minute of it. Like, it was fantastic.
I really want to see it. It's killing me that I haven't
All right,
seen it.
so because we Nick and I voted beforehand, it doesn't matter. Wonder Woman won.
Aw.
We're it's a democracy.
Yeah,
But
and
but
I haven't seen Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Terrible as I am, I mean,
it's not terrible. I hope you'll like it. I do hope you'll
Yeah.
like it.
Hopefully you'll
I
enjoy it.
have.
We just endorsed it and spoiled things.
Nah, whatever.
Uh, but friends, where there is light, there must be shadow. So
Yes. It's
what was the worst?
the worst
movie of the
movie? You know,
I have several votes, believe it or not. So I'm gonna let you go.
so there's this thing that rhymes with toast in the smell, and yeah.
Ghost in the
Why-
Shell is
why-
a painful experience. I actually got through it.
I'm
I
so
fell
sorry.
asleep once because it's that ridiculously boring of a movie. Actually, I'll say this much about Ghost in the Shell, the live action remake. Um,
Oh, we lost Ken.
oh no.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
All right. All right. In the meantime, I'll say this much about the Ghost in the Shell live action remake. Now it reminded me of another movie, of another remake that came out a couple of years ago, and it was a very similar situation where it was a little movie called RoboCop,
Yeah.
where they took a kind of classic cyberpunk movie, and then they remade it, and then they cut all the parts that people might find challenging or thought provoking,
Yeah.
and then just made it. Actually, no, that's even more succinctly summarized. Honest to God, it's the same movie as the RoboCop remake. I'm not crapping you. It's the same stupid, terrible movie.
Ken, are you back?
I think so.
All right.
Welcome back,
So
Ken.
Gen's back, although
Okay.
her camera's not on yet.
Well, I keep trying to click my camera icon and it keeps turning itself off, even though my little light for my webcam's on.
Okay.
Skype is being really mean today.
You'll be audio only. It's okay.
I was just explaining that Ghost in the Shell was basically the same terrible movie as the RoboCop remake.
Yeah.
Because it really is.
Yeah.
It's just anything that was challenging, thought-provoking, or transhumanist about the original Ghost in the Shell is taken out in this remake.
Yeah.
And plus, you get the amazingly cringe-inducing segments of Scarlett Johansson insisting that her name is Motoko Kusanagi.
Oof.
I dare you to not feel a little cringy watching that.
That feels a lot of cringy just thinking about it, man.
Uh-huh. It's bad.
Yeah.
Gosh, I have not seen a lot of movies.
Yeah. Well, Ghost of the Shell's bad. Don't see that one. Out of all the movies you haven't seen, don't see that one.
There are a couple other pretty bad ones this year, though. I mean, I don't want to only put blame on Ghost in the Shell.
Well, then
I mean,
what other ones?
Well, there was King Arthur: Legend of the Sword.
I didn't see that.
Which, yeah, guess what? I'm very ashamed to admit that I haven't seen Thor 3, but I saw King Arthur: Legend of the Sword.
You should be ashamed to admit that.
I want to go watch it, fully realizing how ridiculous it is. Understanding that it's not the true story that we want it to be. It's just a ridiculous retelling.
I like Guy Ritchie. I really do.
Yeah.
But holy crap. Holy crap. I can best describe the experience of watching King Arthur Legend of the Sword as being akin to watching someone else play a video game while you're half asleep. Because the plot makes no sense. The action scenes are choreographed like a video game. And the villain, and yeah, if you have any background in Arthurian mythology, it will be physically painful to watch.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Even worse than the one where they made Arthur a Roman and had Keira Knightley in blueface paint.
Way worse.
Wow.
Way worse. Let me just give you the setup. Just the setup. This is just the pre-opening credit sequence. Uther Pendragon, King of Camelot, was one hell of a great guy. And he was the leader of the human revolt against the evil wizards, led by the evil wizard Mordred.
What? Math.
Let's just take the timeline and tie it in a knot and play with it.
Oh yeah, and evil wizard Mordred is killed. By the way, Mordred is my favorite Knight of the Round Table, so especially hurtful for me. Evil wizard Mordred is killed instantly, but before peace can settle in the land, he is challenged by his brother, Vortigern the Usurper, who's a more obscure character, but if you know mythology, Vortigern was like the predecessor to Uther, not in the same age bracket. Played by Jude Law, who turns into medieval Ghost Rider when he sacrifices one of his female loved ones to the mermaids that live in his flooded basement. That's just the pre-credit sequence.
I kind of want to see this movie now.
I definitely want to see it because I'm definitely going in with the mindset of this is not true Arthurian anything.
Yeah,
this is just a load of ridiculousness, and Guy Ritchie just in the sandbox with glue on his hands, just slapping about and
I'll admit it's entertaining, but it also just some of the cuts are really weird. The editing is frantic and bizarre. There's a small spoilers. There's a scene where Guinevere, who's a wizard in this, gets kidnapped and then is immediately rescued less than 10 minutes later.
Okay, so we need to start tightening up here because we're 20 minutes in. We're 20 minutes in. We're still talking about movies.
Anyway, Windsor by Democracy goes to Wonder Woman, and the clip-on goes to Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. You okay with that, Gen?
I am totally okay with that.
All right, moving on to television, Gen.
Yeah, new TV show. There have been quite a few of them that have been super, super good.
As always, our new TV show category is not for shows that have been renewed or currently airing. It is for shows that debuted this year in 2017. So even though we loved Stranger Things season 2 and it won last year, it's not eligible because it was on season 2.
Indeed. So thoughts.
So favorites. How do you count MST3K The Return? Is it a new season or is it a new show?
Because that's a good question.
It's kind of both. They count it towards the total episode count. It's talked about by the MST3K people as with the 11th season. But it's technically on IMDb a different show. And it's MST3K The Return. And but the Comedy Central and Sci-Fi Channel runs are considered one show season-wise, although the KTMA seasons aren't.
Yeah, wow. Not sure how I'd qualify that.
Right?
See, that's that one didn't even register on my list because for me, I guess I was thinking of it as
right. So then we have to agree whether or not to disqualify it from the running. Again, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it probably would be my winner if we don't.
Oh, for MST3K?
Yeah, do we consider that a new show or just another season?
I technically consider it another season.
Okay, so let's get that out of the way before the discussion. Then, for those of you at home, MST3K, while it would have been a strong contender for Best New Show, we don't consider it a new show per our rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if someone disagrees that should have been the winner, understand that we disqualified it based on that criteria, not because of quality.
It was cool to see Star Trek come back. I haven't watched more of Discovery yet, though, so it's hard to...
So I really like I think it's the strongest first season of a Star Trek, but so far, like, and I say that, like, as a huge fan of Star Trek, but even Deep Space Nine, my favorite show of all science fiction. Yeah. Deep Space Nine had a weaker first season.
Fair.
So, because it was still a lot of Deep Space Nine's problem had to do with what the network, the studio, because it was syndicated, what Paramount would let them do. Like, they had to fight their way into becoming the show that it became. They didn't want them to do serialized stuff. So Discovery, while it's I don't know if I like it enough to call it the best. What else was there? I mean, this year.
Well, another contender for me was Amazon's The Tick.
Oh my God, that's
I
right.
really liked how that turned out. That's probably my strong
one. Ooh, The Tick. Yeah, Tick is great. New episodes are coming out in February.
Just in time for my birthday. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? My brain didn't even remember that The Tick was this year, even though I've watched like the whole part that's up twice. Yeah, The Tick. The Tick has got. Yeah, that's got to be my vote. My vote's for The Tick.
Well, I've got a runner-up and a favorite.
Okay.
And so this show, this book adaptation came out called Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Was season 1 this year or last year?
This year, I
thought.
Season 2 came out this fall, so that's why.
Because season 2 came out this fall. Because that one's a strong contender for me.
It's had 2 seasons and been canceled already, so I was
2016. Okay, never mind.
So yeah, and we should all appreciate that it's been canceled because the showrunner has had some interesting allegations over the last couple of weeks.
Which is really, I was a big fan of his work, so that's kind of got me down.
Yeah. Bright was also a really entertaining movie, but
a lot of people didn't feel that way, so I'm kind of,
I liked Bright.
My favorite this year was Glow.
Oh, Glow. Yeah, that.
I didn't watch that yet. I heard nothing but good, though.
It's really solid.
It's really solid. Good. I was an hour late to work watching the finale.
Oh yeah, no, it's I ended up brain spike. My wife and I ended up brain spiking most of it on accident.
Oh man.
Glow was really good. You know, Glow was good. And so I want to mention it as runners up that I was thinking about. Like, I don't think that these should be the winners per se, but I thought The Punisher was excellent. The Punisher TV series is just really solid, and that could have gone sideways real fast too. Doing a Punisher.
I really don't like the character, so I haven't given it a shot yet.
I think it's worth giving a shot. It's because again, the Punisher could have gone
like really well.
They handle it amazingly well. It's I will say that if Jessica Jones is about sexual assault survivors' PTSD, the Punisher is just as much about PTSD for soldiers.
Okay, that actually makes me kind of curious.
Yeah, it's I think there's because it's really easy to go wrong with the Punisher.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because he was created as a villain, and then got kind of co-opted by a lot of his stuff that was created as a criticism of anti-heroes got turned into things that were glorified by other writers down the road, and depending on who's written him over the years, I've hated the Punisher at certain points. But I think that this show walks the line really well to creating a version of the Punisher that, you can still not necessarily think that he's still morally ambiguous, but they handle it right. It's not my favorite show of the year. In fact, I like Defenders more. But so it's not even my favorite Netflix Marvel show of the year. But it's still pretty solid. But I'm gonna have to go with the Glow. I liked a lot, but I've got to go back to The Tick.
And I haven't seen it yet, so
the next time we get to hang out again, I will make sure we watch at least some of it.
Definitely, yeah. It's written by Ben Edlund, so it's written by the creator of The Tick.
I think you'll get the sense of humor you will appreciate.
Yeah, it's a very
knowing
different.
You, I feel that you will.
It's the third television series for The Tick. Which is kind of amazing that this character has now had 3 shows. It is it's more grounded than the previous 2. I mean, the first of the previous 2 is a cartoon. But the Patrick Warburton show was very much still much had the sensibilities of the cartoon. This one, I feel, you get more of the feel from the comics. Not quite as dark and twisted as the comics, but
thankfully not as dark or twisted as the comics.
Right. Well, it's because I feel like we get the Tick from the cartoon thrown into more of the world from the comics.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think it worked well that way.
Not exactly the world from the comics. The comics are different. Again, it's still there's a whole stuff about cycle. I think Edlund has perfected his because Ben Edlund pretty much wrote all of these versions of the Tick from the comics to all 3 TV series. So he's kind of perfected the right balance for the character.
This conversation, I'm glad for the Tick, but this is making me really want to watch Glow because just hearing the excitement over it makes me want to take a look at that.
You should watch Glow, but my vote for best series is the Tick.
Okay. Acceptable.
Again, what's your votes for Glow again?
Yes.
Nick, what are you voting for?
The glowing Tick. Yeah, I can only really say the Tick because that's what I've seen.
So
that's why I'm picking Glow because that's the only one I've seen.
Good answer.
So I think we're gonna say the Tick with the Glow as runner-up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right.
So how about worst? Do we have?
Well,
because I have a candidate for worst TV show.
What's your candidate?
It wasn't gonna be my pick for worst. In fact, I thought it had a lot of potential. And then it did a completely tasteless sexual assault episode.
Oh, the
Orville.
Orville.
Without the self-awareness to understand that it was doing a sexual assault episode.
So,
yes, the Orville is my easy vote for worst show.
And I know we've got audience members who are going to object to our selection of that, but no,
I know that they will. I know that they will, and I respect them. But the fact of the matter is, the Orville did a sexual assault episode, and it did not understand that that's what it was doing.
No, yeah, that's the whole thing, yeah.
I've never been so offended by 45 minutes of television in my life.
They made Rob Lowe a rapist.
Yeah.
His character. Not Rob Lowe the person, Rob Lowe's character. Rob Lowe the person, I'm sure, is very nice.
But yeah, they made his character, they made his entire species rapists, and they were so totally like unaware that that's what they were doing.
Well, there's so much like that show has so many problems. The female characters, well, with the exception of the Doctor, are really two-dimensional. Like I mean,
Seth
literally,
MacFarlane is in it. I mean, oh, that's a little harsh.
I mean, honestly, like Kelly is such a sitcom trope. Like literally, like it's. I feel like you could have cast um a stand-up comic from the '90s in the lead instead of Seth MacFarlane, and it would have.
Well, that's the thing. Seth MacFarlane isn't even playing a character.
Yeah,
he's Seth MacFarlane in a Star Trek costume.
Well, if you've ever seen his fan film from high school where he plays Captain Kirk, he's doing the same shtick.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's on YouTube. You can watch it. I did. I wish
someone linked it to me. I didn't actually watch it.
I mean, it's a high school Star Trek fan film.
Man, no thanks.
Yeah.
What a mess.
So yeah, my vote's for the Orville as well for worst new show. Again, do you have any contenders?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, because it's like Iron Fist didn't excite me and could have been way better, but it didn't offend me. Well,
yeah,
it only offended me a little.
I mean, it's like the worst of the Defender series.
Yeah,
yeah,
Iron
Fist.
But like,
that's fair.
That's not. That's like.
That's like the worst thing on a Taco Bell menu. I mean,
right?
It's
it's made of the same stuff, and there's other things you could have that are better. But if it's 2 a.m. and you're hungry, you'll eat it.
Yeah, basically.
Me hungry.
So I'm guessing we're voting for the Orville as worst thing. Worst.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
It's like, as soon as I saw it was a thing, I was like, oh, that's Seth MacFarlane's doing another show. I don't like his stuff. I'm not going to watch it because it'll probably be terrible.
Yeah, well.
And when you guys were going on about, oh, it's so good, and
all right, we need to move to the next category because we are 37 minutes into this episode.
On.
It's gonna be a long one, folks.
Sorry, folks. Well, it was a big year. Yeah. All right, 2017 thing from Japan. Okay, so there were actually a lot of really strong things from Japan, if you ask me, this year. I'm gonna go through a few really quick. 1, Little Witch Academia became a TV series, and it was wonderful. And it was added to Netflix. It was great. 2, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid was a really fun trip into rethinking family dynamics, and it was cute all the way through. A+ series, absolutely loved every second of it. 3, My Hero Academia took all of those shonen anime tropes, did a tournament arc, and made it not feel tired or cliche. That in and of itself is worth a high five. But I think despite all of these incredible titles, and none of those were bad, my vote for best thing from Japan was technically something from 2016, but it didn't get released here in the States until 2017. Makoto Shinkai's movie, most recent movie, the only movie that beat Shin Godzilla at the box office. I'm going with Your Name, Makoto Shinkai's movie. It was beautiful. It was well acted. It was probably Shinkai's best movie yet.
It also probably, with its title, inspired lots of Who's on First style jokes.
Unfortunately. Also, it inspired a J.J. Abrams remake, which I'm not sure how I feel about.
Look forward to that worst movie of whatever year that comes out.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But it may have to go up against Battle Angel Alita, so who knows? Alita Battle Angel.
Oh boy.
God.
I can't
Okay, I'm just gonna agree with whatever you guys decide because I haven't been paying attention to Japan.
Oh, I've seen Dragon Maid Academia and Your Name, and I will agree with you 1,000% on all of those.
So I guess we're
You've been
picking Your
brought.
Name.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right.
And
I believe
my
you.
vote. It's good. Go see it. And I guess to make it quick, I do have a vote for worst thing.
What is it?
It was an easy pick this time. Yes, the follow-up from the creator of Oreimo. Yeah, the guy who wrote the comic about the dude falling in love with and marrying his biological little sister. The guy who actually was disowned by his real life sister. I'm not making that up. Did a follow-up with a trashier series than Oreimo. I'm talking about Eromanga Sensei. Anyone who was in the anime scene was familiar with the trashy garbage fire that it was. Long story short, there's two orphans. One of them becomes the younger sister becomes a shut-in. The older brother goes to school and makes extra money by writing smut. There's a mysterious illustrator who draws the images for the smut books that the high school boy writes. It turns out his little sister is drawing the illustrations for the smut that he writes. Also, he's in love with her. It's gross. It's disgusting. Yeah. I didn't actually watch this one. I got all that I needed from the description.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we found our worst.
That's an easy worst.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Eromanga Sensei. That was easy.
Let's move on.
Wow. Video. now it's time. It's time to talk about video games, y'all. Video games in 2017. Or as my rundown says, 2016, because I forgot to replace that date. So, oh my God, this was an amazing year for video gaming.
Ever.
Nintendo's Switch came out, and I actually bought one. I have a Switch. And on the Switch, we had Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is amazing. We had, obviously, Mario Odyssey came out. I've been playing a ton of. I know it's a re-release, but from the Wii U. But Mario Kart 8, I've been playing a ton of that.
Also Splatoon 2, which was
Splatoon 2, yeah,
lots of fun.
Which, yeah, but even though the Switch is what I play my video games on. I'm not gonna pick a game that's available on Switch.
Really?
And that is my nominee for best video game of the year is Night in the Woods.
Same.
I have heard of, did not get to play.
Oh, it's amazing. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to cosplay from it.
Oh my God, you should cosplay
together.
May.
I know.
Oh my God.
I remember thinking, but yes.
Nice.
Oh my God, that's like, that is so perfect.
It's so perfect.
That's so you.
See, I have not played A Night in the Woods yet, but I'll add that because my big three from great games from this year I didn't get to touch yet, or my big two. So I guess I'll add it, making it my big three. The other two that I want to take a look at are Mario Odyssey and Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Which Arkham Eyes actually lent me Nier Automata, so I'll have an opinion on that soon. My nomination was going to be Persona 5, because I really enjoyed Persona 5.
Good.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Persona 5. I've never really played any of the Persona games, so I don't really have a strong opinion. Night in the Woods, though, is just you need to play Night in the Woods. And
Wait,
actually,
is that what system is that? Is that Steam?
It's on Steam. Yeah. It's on Steam, and I think they just came out on Xbox One and PS4. There in 2018. There's going to be an iOS release. And there's rumors that they're working on a Switch port, but that hasn't, like, they've alluded to it, but they haven't announced it yet.
Right. Okay.
But it's made in Unity, so it shouldn't be like super difficult to port. Like other Unity games have made it over to the Switch just fine. Like I've been Oxenfree came out in 2016. I've been playing, but it didn't come to the Switch until October, obviously. And I've been playing Oxenfree repeatedly. Oxenfree is so good. Have you played Oxenfree?
I have not.
Oh, that's...
Jen?
Oxenfree is right now $5 on the Switch on sale, so but it's like normally like a $20 game. Oxenfree is also super good, but
okay,
but it's not eligible for game of the for our best new game this year because it came out in 2016 originally.
Gotcha.
But Night in the Woods is amazing, and actually now is probably the better time to. It's better that you waited because the Weird Autumn edition's out now, where they added more content to the game.
Ooh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So
I'm gonna need to play it.
Yeah, it's Night in the Woods is my vote. Again?
Yeah, Night in the Woods is amazing. I want to bring up one other game that's right up there, and that is Cuphead.
Ooh, Cuphead.
Oh, how did we not think? I didn't even think about Cuphead, but that's a good nomination. Yeah.
Cuphead is beautiful, but I don't know if the gameplay is. I mean, it's also
if you don't like Mega Man style, like boss rush, bullet hell.
Yeah,
you're not gonna like Cuphead.
I'm not
that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, I'm not really into bullet hell games.
Oh, Nick might be okay at Cuphead.
Yeah, it's a boss rush bullet hell. And
Nick can play through parts of Mega Man 1 without getting hurt, so Nick can probably do okay at Cuphead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's well, and also fun. Yeah, there's some issues with like the history of the animation styles using Cuphead, so that I feel like the creators kind of like walked a line on.
I get that, and I can agree that I don't like their kind of not very intellectual exploration of that, but I still feel that the game on its own.
Well, yeah, no, it looks really good. It looks really good. I just think A Night in the Woods is cooler.
Fair.
It's got a much stronger story.
Like
a much deeper
and
more heartfelt story.
That's what I play games for, is I want the story.
Yeah. I'm in it for the story as well.
That's what I show up for. Story. A game's either got to have a ton of story or involve me driving really fast in a car or 2D fighters.
Okay, those
are all the three categories that I fall into. I mean, I want either all story or no story.
Legit.
Best, we're probably going to vote Night in the Woods.
Okay, but it sounds like it's only right that Night in the Woods get it from the sounds of it.
All right, worst game.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah. That's what everybody complains about.
I mean, that's kind of why I didn't really have I didn't play any games that I hated this year. So
yeah. Like I genuinely love getting over it with Bennett Foddy, but I hate playing it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like I love it as a piece of art, but as a game, it's frustrating.
There was another Call of Duty. There was another Uncharted. Another Mass Effect.
I actually really like the Uncharted
Mass Effect
series.
Andromeda.
I'm not gonna lie.
Mass Effect. That's Mass Effect Andromeda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game flopped so hard it killed a studio, and may have possibly ended the Mass Effect genre. Like the studio that built it, it's just gone. Everybody got fired, and it may have killed the Mass Effect franchise.
What else was a flop was Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like Yooka-Laylee was a lot of failed potential.
Yeah.
Like it.
I can't.
I think the problem with Yooka-Laylee.
Keep going. I'm trying to find.
I think the problem with Yooka-Laylee is just that it wasn't any better than the games it emulated. Like there was like it didn't like a lot of good games that like a lot of games that like bring back older style gameplay kind of usually bring something new to it or like add something that wasn't really in the genre before. So like you kind of expand on it. Where Yooka-Laylee, the problem is that it just wasn't really any better than the older games, and you could just play the older games still.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's that's at least my take on it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic Forces was also a thing.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that which Sonic?
So, there were 2 Sonic games that came out. Sonic Mania is the retro.
Yeah, Sonic Mania is great.
2D. Yeah, Sonic Mania is great. It's just an update of the retro 2D platformers.
Yeah. Right.
Sonic Forces is the one where you could make your own.
I would say you can make your own Sonic
character. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a dream for all those people who used to draw like Sonic characters kneeling.
As I would say, Sonic 2 will finally have his day.
Yeah. I mean, at least it was better than Boom.
That's like saying dropping a book on your foot is better than hemorrhoids. I mean, they both hurt.
Yeah. I think my vote has to go still back to Mass Effect Andromeda because it killed the studio and may have killed the franchise. It doesn't matter whether or not that even like because the initial release was apparently really bad. Like they fixed stuff in patches, some of it, but overall just like it killed a studio.
Yeah, that's hard to one up that. Don't try to one up at game companies, please.
So is that your vote, Nick? Also?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Again?
I'm trying to find the other Sonic game.
Well, Sonic.
There was one where he turned into a werewolf. I don't remember if it was
Curse of the Werewolf. That was a couple years back.
Couple of years, okay.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good with whatever is chosen.
All right. So Mass Effect Andromeda is our worst video game for 2017. Comics.
I do have a vote for best. I almost forgot it, and I'm ashamed I almost forgot it.
I'm ashamed of you.
I'm like legitimately ashamed because this actually I do feel was a really strong book that came out this year. All my adoration goes out to Tom King's magnificently surreal Mr. Miracle run, which has started up. There are 5 issues out right now. There's going to be a total of 12. It is part love letter to Jack Kirby, part exploration of the new gods, part meta critique of comic book storytelling, and all beautiful character study and quite a bit of weirdness using Scott Free and Big Barda as our main audience cipher characters. Trying to describe Mr. Miracle is really hard, and if I'm going to be perfectly honest, if you don't have a background with the lore of the new gods, it can be a bit overwhelming. But if you have that background, it is an absolute must-read. Yeah, Mr. Miracle. Tom King's Mr. Miracle. Absolutely. Please read it. You specifically, listener. Please.
All right. Again, do you have a suggestion?
No, because I don't read comic books. I read actual books.
And
Ow!
oh,
I
burn, sick
I felt
burn.
that burn again.
Um, I don't really have.
I don't mean it as a burn. I'm just working about. I'm still like halfway through the Silmarillion, so.
I didn't.
It's I'm giving you crap.
Yeah, it's and I didn't read anything that really like got me this year. But I also didn't have enough. I didn't read as many comics this year as I used to. Just because of all the stuff. So I'm gonna say whatever you said, Nick.
Right? Yeah. Let's go
Mr.
read
Miracle,
that.
Tom King. Good job, Mr. Miracle. Thanks, Nick.
All right, so let's talk about the worst thing that came out. And I'm just gonna say Nick Spencer as a person.
Ouch.
Secret Empire.
Ouch.
With the big cop out ending. And where real Captain America came out of evil Captain America's brain, but maybe not, and beat up evil Captain America. Also, Nick Spencer opposes punching Nazis, so maybe he shouldn't have been writing Captain America.
Really, it's frustrating.
Right there
for
on
me.
The first issue, guys, like cover.
No, it's frustrating for me on several levels, though. I made a announcement on one of my social media pages, and I'm sticking to it that I am withholding my judgment of Secret Empire until I have finished reading it. A good friend of mine was kind enough to lend me the complete run, so I don't even have to spend money on it. And I'm going to say this much. I agree with a lot of the critiques that have been leveled against Secret Empire, but I also disagree with anyone who says that it was fundamentally the wrong story to try to tell. I don't think that it was the wrong story. I don't think it's the wrong starting point for a story, because I do think there is something important in looking at our perfectly chiseled authoritarian heroes and questioning how far does that authoritarian streak go. If you want to see an example of it done really well, IDW's Transformers run did a storyline called All Hail Optimus, which was a very similar setup.
So,
yeah.
So here's the thing: is I have a hard time always necessarily taking Nick. So Secret Empire, the thing is that the whole I don't know how much to take based on the way it resolved and the entire setup. I have a hard time taking all of Nick Spencer's comments seriously, because the fact is that in 2005, when he was running for Cincinnati City Council, he actually made some kind of borderline racist statements in his political platform. And so when you couple that with the statements that he made also against punching Nazis, and then making Captain America, the Hydra plant, and like even the way it resolved, I like my complex view of the writer and the way that the story ended up being handled is just like I have. And I guess if you want to take a death of the author,
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing that Nick Spencer is he has shown some signs of being an absolutely terrible person. I'm just saying that I don't think that the idea of recasting like a typically heroic but figure with an authoritarian streak and seeing that in its darker context is a bad idea.
I know,
but I think that that's actually a really good thing we should be exploring.
I know, but
I don't think he was the right person to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he was the right writer to do it, and I definitely don't think the way he wrote it was necessarily the right time. Like the commentary he made when he made it and how he made it wasn't necessarily the best executed.
Right.
So it's I don't know. I mean, and it's not like he's like the worst human being in comics. I mean, there's a certain editor at DC who got, fired, or there was a certain editor at Marvel who had been pretending to be an Asian person.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff, but can we just say white men in the comics industry are the worst thing this year?
So long as we can just pretend Tom King isn't in that category, because his work on Batman and Mr. Miracle has been fantastic, especially Mr. Miracle.
Well, he's one of the good ones, Nick.
Fair.
So am I okay saying white men?
Remember, not all white men.
Not all white
men. Well, it's not like this is a predominantly white podcast. This is a completely white podcast. What I mean, look at Nick. For video viewers, I mean, seriously, he is like, I'm the closest to diversity on this panel, skin tone wise, and I'm super white.
I could beat Milk in a white contest. Just saying. I'm not proud of that.
I'm just like, there's honestly, I also just want to say white dudes because I don't want to go into the details of all the horrible stuff that happened.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm fine with that then. Just
all right, best. Okay, so moving on to our last best worst category, and that is conventions.
Are we doing ones we've been to or ones in general?
So for conventions, for the best we usually pick ones we went to. For the worst, we pick in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So usual disqualifications is that to vote for something we can't have been on the staff for it. So we have a complicated disclosure here. I am currently on the staff for No Brand Con and planning the 2018 convention. I was not involved in the 2017 staff beyond my name being on the brand as a co-founder. Which means I had, like information, but I wasn't actively creating the event. I was merely observing and, reading everybody's notes. So, yeah. So I'm thinking, out of all the cons I did this last year, and I did fewer this year than I've done in the last few years, I still gotta go back to KuroshiCon.
Kuroshi was heck of fun this year.
It was really good.
I always like the small, like, college run events a lot, and Kuroshi I did a couple this year, and Kuroshi was my favorite out of those ones. Independent Show and HoosierCon were also really great. HoosierCon is, of course, in the Twin Cities. God, I'm not gonna be able to go back there this year. This is gonna be sad. And the Independent Show, which features independent comic creators, is held on one day of that. It used to be a separate show, and now it's kind of
right.
John Graham runs that, and I really like that. But I gotta say, the most fun I had this year was probably at KuroshiCon.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I had a lot of fun at Kuroshi.
Yeah. I had a bunch of pretty good ones. Like, I had lots of fun at Anime Iowa.
Yeah, Jen and I had a pretty good time running the table at Anime Iowa. And like, I think I had more fun at Anime Iowa, I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I had been doing, not so great with the Artist Deli tables until Anime Iowa. That really, turned me around. So that, picked up my mood for the rest of the cons that year. Looking back over my inventory book.
Okay.
I personally really like Daishokan just because of how busy at the table I was.
I had fun at Daishokan. Overall, I really enjoyed Daishokan. I feel like they need to do some space management because I know that that building's going to get expanded and the expansion will be open by 2019. But like there was the Death Glut,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and
that was really, really bad.
I feel like their panel scheduling could have been better. Like if you're going to schedule someone to do 4 panels in a row, why not put them in the same room? Uh, like if you don't
Yeah,
want to put them in the
yeah.
same room in a row, put them at different times. Like,
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
but I mean, overall, I had a really good time at Daishokan. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want
I
to
also
sound
had a
like,
good time at Daisho. I just have so many nitpicks from being a former
well,
staffer there.
and I think all of us as either former or current con staffers and con runners, we're always going to be able to like pull up 10 things that we don't like, even at the cons we love.
Uh-huh.
Like KuroshiCon, which was my vote earlier for Con of the Year, in this very thing, like check-in was disorganized. Like some of the information was difficult to get out. Like I can pick apart 10 things. It's just we are
I will
detail
say,
oriented people.
uh, EverCon last year gets a vote for me, for being super good. Not only because like I had a good time there, but their staff is excellent. Like
Oh
the way
yeah,
they handle things.
EverCon gets extra points in my book for how well they handled some dicey situations
Yeah.
specifically. Like,
Yeah.
they did amazingly well.
Well, I'm going there this year based purely on your recommendation, your guys' recommendation. So it's
I'm sad I'm not going there for the first
I'm gonna
time
be
in
at EverCon this
years.
weekend.
I'll see you there.
I'm
Jen
super
and I will
sad
be at
I won't be
EverCon,
there.
but Nick won't.
The first time in so long I haven't been there. It kind of breaks my heart. Um, Ironically, I will be working in a brick and mortar store that is sending stuff to EverCon. So my boss will be at EverCon, but I will not be.
Yeah. So votes. Nick, what is your vote for best con this year?
Oh, crowd. It's a toss up between Ever and Kuroshi. I am going to go with Ever only because of how closely I had to work with their staff in order to write my article earlier this year, and they were incredibly accommodating and they did everything right.
Okay.
And I'm going to continue to tell people that they did everything right because they did.
Okay. Again?
It's a real toss up for me between those two because I had really good fun at both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just say both?
Okay. So the problem is that I'm going to vote for KuroshiCon.
I know. So both.
Okay, so it's a tie.
Yeah.
Works for me.
All right. Now let's go to worst convention this year. Oh, like every year, we've had some doozies. The first thing that comes to mind is Waxicon, which, of course, wrote checks that bounced to their guests. That's off the top of my head. There's also North Texas RPG Con, which one of its con runners pretty much made the worst statements about harassment policies I've ever heard. Until the other, but I don't want to say it's the worst because the other co-owner did step in and like came up like and acted sensibly. So, like, I think it's important to remember for like people that they did do that stuff, but it's not like but someone sane in their organization like stepped up and fixed stuff. So I gotta go back to those bounced checks from Waxicon.
That's hard to beat. It's really hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean it's Wizard World continues to slowly burn out and die. But it's never different.
Oh, no.
It's tempting to say Angry Goat, but I don't know if they even put on a
I don't know. They don't really count because they haven't actually done anything.
Yeah. Like
that's
my
the
work
thing.
here is done, but you didn't do anything.
Yeah. There's the Catoosa County Film Festival, which got canceled halfway through Saturday, after having moved venues an hour before the convention. But again, there's, let's see here. Let's look at other conventions. I mean, it's not the convention, like the Libya Comic-Con got shut down by an armed militia, but that's not really that's not their fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's, the world being awful. Like there's lots of events that got canceled like in short term beforehand. And I mean, like awful things happened at the con scene. Like Anime Punch disbanded because the con chair pled guilty to sexual battery. Like,
whoa. Oof.
But
what about that one dude that punched people?
I feel like there's been more punching than we can.
There's like one like con head who like punched his vendors or something like that. Maybe that's multiple people.
Okay, so there's the Avalon Expo where the organizer disappeared mid-con. And yeah. But I'm going to go back to Waxicon.
Okay. I can agree with that. Bouncing checks is bad.
Yeah. Okay.
I bounced a check once because I made it out of a rubber ball.
Oh yeah, because like lots of bad things happen in the con scene. Let's see here. There's the cosplayer who marched in the white supremacist rally.
Oh yeah, there's that.
5 Geek Girl Con's organizers quit, accusing the executive director of reverse racism.
Yeah, that sure was a thing.
That was a thing that happened.
There's been so much like crazy nonsense.
YesterCon got evacuated due to a bomb threat. There was the Iowa man arrested at Tampa Bay Comic-Con for stalking Kate Beckinsale.
Wow.
Pokemon Go Fest was kind of a disaster, but it wasn't the organizers' fault. It was, all the cell companies not believing them how much they would need. UK-based Rogue Events went out of business. Titan FanCon told fans to directly harass guests who had canceled on them. I'm literally just going through the news archives here.
Well, I think I'm good. I don't need anymore.
Yeah, Waxicon's my vote. Waxicon's my vote.
You suck.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right. The guy, the mass shooting was averted at Phoenix Comic-Con this year.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
One of my favorite cons, the West Plains, Missouri-based OzCon, had to cancel because of the town flooded.
That's right.
In the middle of Great Lakes FurCon was canceled because it was, issues involving furry Nazis. This year 2017 was amazing. Wow. Okay.
Not in like a good way. Yeah,
but we should finish up by talking about favorites.
Yeah, what were some other cool things? Things that you guys liked?
Stranger Things season 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
Agreed. I enjoyed the hell out of that.
I love my Switch. I love my Switch. I love my Switch. I love my Switch.
I've
literally done that thing where I was playing a game on the TV, and then my wife wanted to watch something, so I literally slotted the Joy-Cons in and picked it up like I was in an ad.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Switch is a really fun, great system. It's hard to not like it. Gundam the Origin is still good. Just throwing that out there. I mean, it's not new anymore, but it's that Gundam prequel that's still going, and I still like it. So that's good. Finding out that the Cardcaptor Sakura continuation that's coming out in the next couple months was going to have the entire original creative staff and the original director and the original voice cast all coming back set my mind at ease by a lot. By a lot. Not that I'm really fond of that series, and I was worried about them screwing it up, but I really was, and I'm not anymore. And that's a good feeling.
I have a functional keytar.
Let's see what else was cool. Fate Grand Order was a stupid tap game that I played way too much, and I'm still enjoying.
There's a second Monument Valley.
Let's see.
I don't know. Again, what's some of your favorite stuff from this year?
I don't know.
You like nothing.
Oh yeah. New figures of the Headmasters from Transformers continue to make me happy. Just saying. It's been good. It's been good times.
I like pie. Pie is delicious. I had some really good pie. I like living in Wisconsin again.
That's good.
Where we have finally become an all Wisconsin podcast.
Yeah.
I like not living with my parents. That's been a favorite of this year.
I like you not living with your parents too.
That's been a big favorite for this year. Yeah, so that's I don't know. That's all I got right now, you guys. I had fun. Oh yeah, even though the movie wasn't particularly good, seeing one of the Fate Stay Night movies in theaters was really cool. I got to do that. Anime!
I have a keytar.
Food Wars is still really good.
I've heard good things about that.
It's really good. Just beware of the nudity.
I think that's a bumper sticker we should all get. If you would like us to produce Nerd and Tie Beware of the Nudity bumper stickers, write to us at nerdandtie.com/contact, and we might put those together.
I'm up for it. I am definitely up. I would put that on my vehicle.
Would you put Beware of the Nudity on the back of your car?
I would. Perhaps on other people's vehicles too.
New tagline: Nerd and Tie, beware of the nudity.
Nerd and Tie, beware of the nudity. There's a reason we're the only podcast with a dress code. All right, let's. This has gone way off the rails. Let's do a. Let's look at the mailbag. There's got to be something in there to close out this weird podcast.
There is.
Grab it. There it is.
There's a letter from Keith. Subject BBC history movies. Message. Hello, nerds and your respective ties. I'm writing to you the day after my 21st birthday. Happy birthday.
So young!
A full 2 episodes behind on the Nerd Tie podcast feed, so it might be a while before I hear this.
I'll have already been at EverCon by the time you hear this.
I was tempted to write to you about Star Wars a number of months ago, but I accidentally deleted the message before managing to send it, so you were spared that. Anyway, recently I've rewatched An Adventure in Space and Time, the BBC movie about the creation of Doctor Who in the 60s, which I already knew quite a bit about, as well as We're Doomed, the story of Dad's Army, again from the 60s, and it struck me that the BBC has been doing a lot of these kind of historical television moves lately, with them doing similar ones about Steptoe and Son in 2002 and Frankie Howard in 2008, among others. My question to you is, what TV show or movie franchise would you like to see a similar style of movie made about, its creation, continuation, cancellation, or any combination thereof, in the future, either as a look back at something that's already been and gone, or a post-mortem of something that's happening now?
That's a good question. An Adventure in Space and Time is really good, by the way. If you haven't watched that, you should watch that.
I own a copy of it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it's so good. As for the, I don't know, as for show I'd like to see, probably one of the more interesting shows that out of American television that I think that style thing would be is the Star Trek The Next Generation.
That would be good.
There's an interesting documentary on Netflix about it, hosted by William Shatner, that touches on a lot of stuff I actually didn't know, which is pretty difficult to find things that I didn't know. But it's a really, there are certain things that they rush through, it feels like they montage through some stuff really quickly that I think should be explored more. So it's there's some moments where they really just don't go into some of the more important details. But especially all the conflict with Roddenberry, his lawyer, and the writers and the showrunners in those early seasons is really interesting, because there's a lot of Star Trek: The Next Generation was pretty much good in spite of Roddenberry.
Right.
And I think a lot of us who are hardcore fans kind of know that, but a lot of people don't know the specifics why, and I think that a lot of casual fans don't know this, because the Great Bird always had the reputation of being so important, and he created Star Trek, but there's some stuff. And so it's an interesting, the process of how that revival, how it came from Star Trek 2, effectively sitting around, and the concept of reviving Star Trek kept coming up again and again. It would be interesting to talk about the original series, but I don't think so. The original series is, besides, all the books that explore it in depth, so there's a lot of sources to go to for finding an interesting narrative. It still very much comes down to it was a television show. Doctor Who was, there's a lot of innovative stuff with Star Trek, but they sold it as Wagon Train to the Stars.
Right.
So, Doctor Who had a more uphill battle in its early years than Star Trek did in its inception, because Star Trek was believed enough to get a second pilot when the network didn't like the first one.
Which is weird.
But Next Generation, reviving the franchise, that's an interesting story. Because then it's being revived by people who both know the original series, a combination of those people, plus people who worked on it, plus people who didn't care about it, who had their own idea. Like, it's really
right.
And also the perilous world of the fact that it was originally meant to launch a network and then became a syndicated show.
That's just kind of tragic. See, like, now that would be a really good one. My vote would be one that a topic that I bring up a lot, and I'm going to just go back to it. I want to know. I would love to see a TV series like that about Robotech. I would like to see like someone playing Carl Masick and getting the weirdness that led to like taking three unrelated shows and pretending they were all the same show. And then even better would be if we could have something about like maybe even like Robotech all these years later with the insanity that is Tommy Yoon still trying desperately to make this cult show from the 80s still be relevant. And
yeah,
I think that would be interesting.
I'd watch that for sure.
Because there's a lot of weird stuff there, or even the aborted attempt to do when they tried to commission brand new animation for a Robotech sequel, and what a flaming clusterfargle that Robotech 2 The Sentinels was, including that they weren't allowed to make the Macross characters look like the Macross characters because they were already the studio is already working on a Macross movie in Japan, and the American toy company demanding that there be more ground type vehicles because those are easier to make toys of, and then how the entire thing fell apart because the toy company pulled out at the last second.
Yeah,
that I would love to see.
That would be fascinating. Again?
I think I'd be really fascinated by like even just a short little movie thing about the original Robot Wars. And just like them creating all the house bots and like the gauntlet and just like coming together and putting that stuff together. I think that would be personally very fascinating. And it ties in a tiny bit with one of Keith's picks. He says my top picks would be Red Dwarf, considering some of the insane limitations they had to work with in the day, although it is unlikely to happen as the show is still going today with essentially the same creative team.
Well, there's the thing. Grant Naylor Productions kind of split up after the early seasons. It's only one of the two creators of the show is still like continued on with it after the early seasons. So that could actually be some really interesting like storytelling if that happened. Yeah. And that's why the Red Dwarf books take a very different direction than the Red Dwarf series. If you go back into that early fandom stuff. Ha ha ha. Look it up, buddy. Keith, look it up. It's really interesting. You should read up on that stuff. Yeah.
The other picks he has are the John Nathan Turner era of the Doctor Who. All that backstage drama that went around on it.
I'd watch it, but...
And I'm also interested in this one, The Life of Miyazaki, because he just seems like he's been so passionate about his work that I'm sure it would make an awesome movie.
My favorite part will be in the last 20 minutes when he retires and comes out of retirement like 3 or 4 times.
Right?
Dude, yeah, no, it's he makes Michael Jordan look like someone who actually like stays home.
Dude, the making of Space Jam. That would be awesome to see. Oh,
I will say, like, we did a title card. We did a title card last time he retired of where I photoshopped Miyazaki's head on Michael Jordan in a Wizards jersey. Like, it...
This next movie is definitely his last one, you guys.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
This one's going to be it. He's done after this.
I will only believe he's done making movies when I see the obituary, and I'll assume there's this posthumous one still coming out. I know that's dark, but I'm just saying that man is going to make movies until he's dead.
Anyways.
Hey, you know what? No, if you find a passion. My grandfather was at work a week before he died. One of them was. The other one I don't speak of.
Just want to finish this letter.
Oh, God, we're still going?
Anyways, best be up before I accidentally delete this one again. Keep Spocking and whatnot. Keith Shijalo.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith. All right, so that moves us on to the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge. The Vomit Hat Steve Challenge, for those of you at home who do not know, is a part of the show where normally I read a line from a book, although right now we've got Gen reading from the book, as the book is at her house. We read a line from a book, and the challenge to you, our listener or viewer, is to guess what book it is from. If you guess correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, we list your name on the website. 2, I read your name in the episodes. 3, nothing else, really. That's the whole thing. 1 second, I'm going to mute myself. Sorry, I had to cough a lot, and that was disgusting. All right, so the current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Archimide, Zero, Rainy Incendi, Cheesy McDabu, Krista, Slytherin, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Corfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lillisaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsies, Minnesota Librarians, Sean Orange, Keith Shizuo, and Sakura Sunset. And we've been reading the same book for a couple episodes, so we're going to shoot it to Gen, who's going to give us our line for this episode. Gen?
We have been given complete independence in our investigative authority, and we crime trouble consultants have no restrictions on the arms we can carry.
If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com/contact, click on the contact form, and tell us. Or if you have anything else you'd like to say, hey, or read aloud in this part of the episode, or just generally spoken through the voice of one of us three, go to nerdandtie.com/contact and tell us. Tell us your hopes, tell us your dreams, tell us the pair of shoes you think we should wear in this desperate weather. Also, if you'd like to have your voice on the show, just call us at 414-375-0480 and leave us a voicemail, and we will play your voicemail on air, on the show, if we like it, and you don't swear a lot or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your effing cursing to yourself.
Effing A.
Effing A.
Woo!
Well, I think that's about as good as we're going to get for wrapping up 2017. It was a real pleasure doing this show for another year, and I cannot wait to see what 2018 has in store. It's got to be better, right?
It's Logan Paul putting dead bodies in the suicide forest on YouTube and then apologizing the next day.
That's not really apologizing, but by monetizing the apology video. Ooh.
Yeah,
what a great guy.
Yeah. This is
excellent, dude.
This is terrible. But if you'd like to keep quality YouTube on your videos, you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/TRAEGORN, or you can subscribe to youtube.com/Nick for Nick's video essays, or you can subscribe to this very podcast on RSS feeds, or in the iTunes store, or in the Google Play Store, or on Stitcher, if you want to get this delivered to your smart device of choice every 2 weeks when we put out new content. And remember, you can follow us on social media at twitter.com/nerdandtie, facebook.com/nerdandtie, or nerdandtie.tumblr.com. And you should do all those things with your clicky-clackies and your tippy-typies and your shoes. Because that's how we do, yo. Oh, you can also support us directly. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TREGORN. Nick has a Patreon at patreon.com/NickAzumi. Gen has a coffee link at coffee/Genjamin. And you can support our legal fund by going to gofundme.com/nerdandtie, or you can sponsor episodes by clicking on the sponsorship information button on nerdandtie.com. Who were we again, Nick?
We are Nerd and Tie, and that includes myself, Nick Izumi.
I'm Trey Dorn.
I'm Genjamin.
I step on lines. I warned you at the beginning of the episode.
And we are going to be heading out for this new year, heading into the future with eyes and arms wide open.
Say your catchphrase, you're almost out of song.
What? Totally is. Whatever. Anyway, remember to take care of yourselves. Keep on spocking in the free world and have a great new year. We are Nerd and Tie.
Right at the line, because we just ran out of music.